Hey everybody, today we're going to take a look at the Lucid P7 4x Combat Optic. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Now before I get into the specs and my opinions on this, I'm going to give you a quick look at the reticle of the scope. We're going to cut away for that, and then I'm going to come back and give you more info on the scope itself. So, here we go. Folks, I'm giving you a quick look through the reticle here. You can see the ballistic tape measure. This isn't the best view of the scope, and the camera doesn't really do it justice. But you can kind of get an idea. You see the crosshairs there. And it is on. It's on the lowest setting. I don't know if you can see the red in it or not, because I can't tell by the little viewfinder here. But you get an idea of what it looks like. The glass is extremely clear on this. You know, for a scope in this price range, it was really surprising. It's easy to look through and get your field of vision right on it. It's got a pretty good field of view when it's deployed. So all in all, I'm pretty happy with the way the reticle looks and the glass itself. So that's pretty much it for the reticle view. I wanted to get this on, even though it wasn't that great of a shot because of how I have it set up here. I just have the upper sitting on a towel on a chair with the camera behind it. But it does give you an idea of what it looks like, and I noticed in other videos there really wasn't much of an actual reticle view, so I wanted to give you that right there. There's a little bit of story to this. This is the gun that I put the Midwest Industry rails on before. I originally had an EOTech on here, and those of you that may not know, EOTech had a recall. They've had some issues with their reticles floating around in hot environments and cold environments, as much as 6 MOA. So I figured, you know what, they're having these issues, they're offering a full refund. I sent it in. It was an old EOTech 512, took the AA batteries, and I figured I'm going to try something. I'm going to try a magnified optic. I already have the old Lucid that was just the red dot, and while it was a very large scope for a red dot, it did a really good job, and it was really high quality. And it went through a lot. I mean, it got dropped, it got run in the dirt, it got wet, it went through a lot, and it worked fine. So, those of you that don't know, Lucid is an American company. The parts for the scope are made in China to control the costs. I believe they're assembled in the United States. And this is their newest 4x combat optic. Now, it's not an EOTech. I mean, it's not an ACOG. It's not an ACOG, it's never going to be an ACOG. But for those of us that own multiple ARs and maybe want some kind of magnification on them and don't want to spend $1,000, you know, something like this that retails for $400, and I was able to pick it up for $355 on Amazon, is well worth your money. It's well worth it. This is not junk from China. I mean, this thing actually works. It holds up. They do a really good job, and they also have a lifetime warranty. So if anything goes wrong, you send it in, they fix it. Let me give you a little rundown on the scope itself before we get into taking a closer look at it. The housing and frame is cast aluminum. It is a little heavy. If you're running a super light AR, you're going to feel this. It's 19 ounces, whereas an ACOG is like 9.9 ounces. It's got 13 millimeter hex nuts here. They are reversible, so if you want to put these on the other side, that's perfectly fine. It's got the 25 millimeter ocular manual focus over here. This does move around. I would suggest you're careful with it. Don't try to pull on it and rip everything off, because it's you know, it's stiff. You don't want that moving around anyway when you're out there shooting with it. It's powered by one AA battery. Okay, common, easy to find battery source right in here. Battery goes in here. Your controls are on the other side, which I'll show you in a minute. It's got a field of view of 25 feet at 100 yards. These adjustments are half MOA clicks. They are very positive clicks. It's actually a nice feeling scope. Doesn't feel like it's just moving freely whenever you shoot it. It will hold zero. The AA battery lasts for 2,500 hours. Okay, it does have a 2-hour automatic shutoff, but 25 hours on a AA, you can't really complain about that, especially for the price. It is waterproof, it is nitrogen purged, and it's rated up to a 458 SOCOM. I know people that have run the HD7s, little red dots, and the red dots are probably about that big. They're about that short there. On shotguns, went absolutely no problem. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to give you a quick walk around on it. I just have this on the upper today, as I've mechanically zeroed it and I kind of laser sighted it, but I haven't shot it yet. So that's going to be my next video, shooting this, taking it out and shooting it. Here are your controls. That's your power control. That turns the scope on and off. If you hold it for 5 seconds, it'll turn it off. If you push once, it'll turn it on. If you hold it for like 2 seconds and release, it will change the mode. It goes from the automatic mode, where it's always on, and you can up and down the brightness with these plus and minus, to a sensor mode. It's a little sensor up top here. That little sensor is a light sensor, so if you're going from an extremely dark environment to a very bright environment, it will change automatically the brightness of the red dot in the center. It's kind of like a half donut. Okay? It is rubber, it's rubber coated. It's really, these things have held up. The one I have on my other gun, that's just for, I've taken classes with it, it's held up with all sorts of abuse. So I'm kind of expecting the same thing. It does have a screw-in for a kill flash in the front, and you can kind of get an idea about how big it is. When I first, a lot of the pictures of this online and a lot of the reviews made it look like this scope was like up here. The bottom here was like this high. It isn't. It actually does fit kind of nicely in with the profile of the gun. More of an aesthetic thing, but I find it, to fit in there nicely. I was kind of nervous when I saw pictures online that it had obviously been photoshopped or someone had messed with them, and it made it look like it was sitting up this high, instead of down at this level. It's a real comfortable scope to work with. It's easy on the eyes. It's as far as getting a sight picture, you put this thing up, it's got 3.25 inches eye relief, I believe. You put this up, you bring it up into position, and boom, you've got a picture. You got a nice ocular lens over here, so you're not going to have to struggle and try to get the reticle in your in your field of view without a whole lot of trouble. It's real simple to operate. So that's pretty much it. That's really just a tabletop. There's really not much more to do until I sight this in. So I'm going to take it out and I'm going to shoot it probably next week sometime. Between working and between this, as you can hear in my voice, I've had this sinus kind of cold thing going on, so I've been trying to spend as much time indoors as possible. But that's it. That's the Lucid P7 4x combat optic. From just playing with it and sighting it in mechanically in my garage, I am really impressed with it. It's very easy to work with. Really didn't need too much adjustment. I just put it on there, and it's got the, again, 13 millimeter hex nuts. I just put it on there, tighten these down, put a little of the blue Loctite on the other end so it can come off if I need to move it. And this was my preferred. I left one notch there on the rail. This was my preferred mounting method. I had it a little too far back, and I was having trouble getting a good field of view in the scope. But that's it. That's pretty much it. We will see you next time. I have some new stuff coming in from Amazon that I'm going to be reviewing. We're going to get into other areas of preparedness because it's not always guns and ammo. And we'll see you when that stuff comes in. If you don't hear from me before then, it's probably because I'm nursing this cold. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.